Welcome to another episode of the Wisco Fanatic Show, where we cover the Packers, Bucks, Brewers, and Badgers basketball and football teams from an optimistic and realistic perspective.
Welcome back to another Wisco Fanatics Wednesday. Jake and I, we have 3 Milwaukee Bucks games to discuss today. 2 out of the 3 are not going to be very fun to discuss at all, but one of them was a pretty solid basketball game. So we got that going for us. And then we are going to discuss the Cam Thomas move that freed up a roster spot for Pete Nance to be converted into a standard NBA contract. So we'll talk about that after we run through the games. So let's just get into it. Let's start with Bucks and Jazz. And Jake, give me your thoughts from that one.
Oh, man. I mean, I don't know how many times we're going to have this discussion of what's the worst loss this year? What's the worst loss this year? I don't know. I can't fully answer and be like, this is the worst loss, because that's just an opinion, and I don't want to give just an opinion. We're trying to add value to people's lives, but if those other losses, like some of those bad losses that we're thinking about that me and you have discussed before, like versus the Wizards and the Wizards,
the reason I don't put this game in a situation like that is just because of who they're playing without.
Oh, that's fair, but the thing that I was going to say is if those other ones were bad, they were gut punches. This one felt like a kick in the nuts, honestly. 96-128 versus a team who is actively trying to tank. And there's all these new allegations going on against the Bucks with the NBA Players Association talking about how they think the Bucks are trying to tank. And it's like, my opinions on that is we weren't even winning when Giannis was in the lineup. So It is what it is. And this one, though, really only 2 guys that I thought were positives, honestly. I mean, Bobby wasn't a positive to score 11 points on 12 shots. His job is to score the basketball. That's not good enough. I will give credit to Prince for him coming back from an injury like him to come back to a team that the Bucks are right now, and just to compete is shows the character that he has. So I'd be okay with him coming back next year. Bobby's got to go. I love Pete Nance, so I 100% want Pete Nance on this roster next year. He's one of the few people that actually moves the ball and plays with consistent energy.
Moves without the ball.
Right. I would love Jericho Sims back. But the 2 people that, like, when I'm watching games, they're the 2 people that I'm watching the most. It's Ryan Rollins, for one. Gotta continue to see the growth. 15, 3, and 5 is very good. 5 of 10, 3 of 7 from 3. So he's out there handling the ball, learning on the fly. And the other guy is Jang, Usman Jang. He's probably the number 1 guy I'm watching, where he gets his shots, how he gets his shots. He competes on defense. I'm going to talk a lot more about that in the next game. But Jang and Rollins are really the only 2 people that I would consider positives. You just look at the shot chart. Just in general from this game, the Bucks shot the ball 78 times, right? 44 of those from 3. That is 56% of your shots, which that's the new NBA, really, if you think about it. But to have 20 assists and 20 turnovers, you have a 0 assist to turnover margin, not good enough.
Yep.
We look at the Jazz. The Jazz, 89 shots. So not shocking, the Bucks got outshot. 48 of their shots were from the three-point line. Again, that's a new NBA. So 53% of their shots, that's comparative to our 56%, right? Their shots look more in rhythm, which is why when you look at their assist-to-turnover ratio, which is 2-to-1, they had 17 turnovers. So if you're doing math at home, that's 34 assists. Their ball movement was top tier compared to ours. They almost had as many assists as we had rebounds.
You want to know what's disgusting? They had more assists than the Bucks had field goals.
Yeah. They had 34 assists. The Bucks had 35 rebounds. They almost had as many assists as we had rebounds. That's sad.
To be fair, Utah, and I said this the last time the Bucks and the Jazz played, Utah is a decent rebounding team, but being rebounded 58-41 is uncalled for.
It's uncalled for. So, it is what it is. Just a sad loss, honestly. A new low for the Bucks this year.
Yeah. Being outscored 48-30 in the paint is also uncalled for. I think taking care of the ball needs to be a top priority. The fact that the Bucks had a full game worth of turnovers in the first half, 13, with 19 points off turnovers allowed and then 28 total off of those turnovers, It has to be a priority. It's got to be one of those things where, we use the example that the Packers were weak going into safety in 2023. They signed Xavier McKinney, and then they drafted 3 safeties.
Yeah.
It needs to be that level of priority when it comes to taking care of the basketball and defensive rebounding.
Yeah.
And whether it's defense that leads to defensive rebounding or whatever it is, but anything else offensively, I don't even care what your scheme is. I don't care if you're going to run a motion offense. I don't care if you're going to run a pick and roll offense. I do not care, but you need to move the ball and you need to take care of the ball. That said, I don't care what scheme you run. Take care of the ball and move the ball. Like you said, to your point, the Jazz 34 assists because they're playing in rhythm. Not to mention that they're like half of their roster right now is 10-day contract guys and G leaguers.
Yeah.
The defense, I think, needs a complete overhaul. Like I said, including rebounding, 7 offensive rebounds turned into 14 second chance points. In the first half alone is bad. They only allowed 5 in the second half, so that's good, but I do think that's a little bit of the Jazz kind of just coasting, that they can take shots and they can just start running back on defense because they don't have to compete super hard on offensive rebounds when you outshoot your opponent by 15.
Yep.
The one good thing that I did have from this game is the Bucks actually got 23 free throws, which is kind of crazy considering they played without Giannis and Kevin Porter Jr. So just being down 20 to a team that's going to be a top 3 pick is just obviously not where you want to be. So let's go to the Bucks and Suns. What did you take away from Bucks and Suns on, was it Saturday night?
Yeah. Yeah, so I was a little down on basketball after Thursday, understandably. But then I decided to turn this game on, watch it, and what I saw was Kuz scoring pretty efficiently, 20 points on 12 shots for him, 3 of 8 from deep. There was no point during the season where I thought Kuzma taking 8 3-pointers would have been a good idea, but recently he's been really good in the second half of the season. Jang, he had a tough scoring night, scored 11 points on 11 shots, but man, do I love how he competes on defense, especially late in this game in the clutch. He was looking to take the assignment of Devin Booker, who I don't care if you like Devin Booker or not, the guy is just a pure bucket. Like he can go get a bucket from all 3 levels. He forces you to defend him, straight up because he can get to his spot. If he has the platform under him or not, he just understands how to shoot the basketball. He can score.
And I think as far as like trying to get to the free throw line, he does it much more ethically than Shea or Trae Young or Jalen Brunson, like guys like that. He creates actual contact when he's trying to get fouls and get shots.
Yeah, like the kind of contact that we kind of grew up with, not this head and this flopping, real contact trying to get to a spot. Like that's what Devin Booker is an ethical hooper. I like Devin Booker.
Yeah, I respect Devin Booker.
Yeah, so Jang, back to my point, played 33 minutes. We talked last week. I was like, dude, throw this guy out there for 40 minutes. I don't really give a shit. I need him over 33 minutes, good sweet spot. He's not going to get overworked. I love that. Let's keep him right there. But his just competitiveness is really what I appreciate about him the most when he is such a raw talent. Having that competitiveness with that is just like, that's where you look at him, you're like, ooh, this guy actually sharpens some of these tools. Scary, right?
Yep.
Miles Turner, only 7 points, but he hit a clutch 3-pointer off some beautiful ball movement from Pete Nance. That's the thing that I love about Nance. He's always moving, always forcing the issue, and he was cutting down the lane. He could have easily tried to go up for a layup, but he decides to kick it out, and that right corner seems to be where Turner likes to hit his clutch 3-pointers this season. So good pass, good catch, good shot, big-time play right there. We got to talk about Ryan Rollins, 26 points, 10 rebounds, 7 assists. So his scoring was obviously phenomenal. He also played 33 minutes, so that seems like a pretty good sweet spot for him as well. But he rebounds the ball so well for a guard. Mm-hmm. 10 rebounds for a guard is very good. Yep. No other way around it. His 7 assists, he had some pretty sick passes, honestly. He had one bounce pass that went for a dunk. I mean, that was nasty. He had a nice steal where he jumped the passing lane and forced the issue. He was getting downhill. He was scoring from all 3 areas, obviously. You don't really score 26 without scoring in all 3 areas unless you're Giannis and you can just overpower and out-athletic people, right?
Or you're hitting like 8 threes.
Yeah. So Ryan Rollins was tremendous, and him and Jang are the two people outside of Giannis that I'm like, okay, they 100% need to be on the team next year. I'm really feeling that way lately, honestly. And I know that Rollins didn't look good in the next game. We're going to talk about it, but how young Rollins is, I would like to see if he can have some type of growth over the offseason. I think I want to give him that opportunity. I think he's earned that.
Yeah,
at the very
fine.
least.
Which I'm totally fine with. I would say I'm like 80%.
That's fair. I mean, and there's guys that I'm gonna talk about as well, like Nance. Like, I'm pretty big on Nance. I mean, I've talked about him a bunch over the last month. Yep. I would love for him to be on the roster. I like Jericho Sims. I see a role for him on this team.
Yep.
Jericho Sims, 11 rebounds in this one, 3 assists. So he's a willing passer. He's a willing rebounder. He just doesn't get the blocks, and I just don't understand for a guy who could jump as high and as strong as he is, how he doesn't get more blocks.
I feel like he plays more for rebounds.
He does.
Like Miles Turner is obviously the opposite, and we knew this from watching Brook Lopez for 5 years.
Yeah.
But the guys that are contesting shots are not rebounding the ball. Guys that are blocking shots are not rebounding the ball. That's what made Dwight Howard such a dominant force in the NBA, is because he could do both.
Yeah,
there's just not many of those guys around the league anymore. You either have a guy who's going to be blocking shots, or you have a guy who's going to get you rebounds. Like Jokic, rebounder, not a shot blocker. But then you get to guys like Donovan Clingan and Ryan Kalkbrenner, who are kind of coming up as more contested shot guys. I mean, those guys aren't going to give you tons of rebounds. Like they're obviously going to have their games, but it just seems to be when you're talking about the NBA obviously being a 3-point league, but the other side of the coin is layups. Those are the only two things that the NBA coaching staffs want. They want threes and layups.
Yep.
And if you're going to have a big man on your team, you want to have one that's going to contest layups and floaters. Like, obviously, that's what the Bucks have been doing since they signed Brook Lopez, is contesting layups and trying to block shots. So I think that's where you can say, like, you see a role for Jericho Sims. I see him as a rebounder and Miles Turner as a shot blocker.
Yeah, that's fair. And, as a duo, they're a good duo.
Mm-hmm.
My last point I wanted to talk about before I give you the microphone here is, again, moving AJ Green around. I don't understand. I mean, Prince was fine on the bench and AJ Green is fine in the starting lineup. You can play them both the same amount of minutes that you play them. I just don't understand the method of moving him around, but it's whatever.
I think that's another good thing to bring up with Miles Turner too, is the way that he's used. Because I actually think he played pretty good switching defense in this game and at the rim, and he was boxing out. And again, we talked about it with Brook Lopez too. Like, gotta have, like, guys boxing out aren't always going to be the ones grabbing the rebounds, because you want your guards to be able to grab it and go. Like, we've had that conversation, I feel like 1,000 times in the last couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing with it is you have to have all 5 guys boxing out, because you can't just let guys run in, parachute in from the 3-point line and just slap the ball out.
Yep.
Because the thing of it is that the tap outs were a problem again. When it comes to offensive rebounds, everybody in the starting lineup and Dunn off the bench had at least one offensive rebound. And the thing is, it's not the guy that taps the ball out that gets the rebound. It's the guy who controls it. So when I see guards with offensive rebounds, you can glean that from the box score without actually watching the game.
Yeah.
That stuff should stick out. Like, why is Colin Gillespie ending up with offensive rebounds? Now, sure, once in a while there will be long rebounds, and you can't control that. Long shots produce long rebounds, but that's part of why you need all 5 guys to box out. Also, because you don't, like I said, you don't want guys just parachuting in, slapping the ball out, and the 2 guys that are starting to retreat back on defense are standing at half court, take 2 steps forward, and they get an offensive rebound because their teammates slapped it out, because not all 5 guys are boxing out. So that's where, like I said, with the Jazz game, the defense needs an overhaul.
Oh,
you brought up Kyle Kuzma. He balled out in the second quarter. He went nuts in the second quarter. 15 points, hit 2 threes, got to the rim and the free throw line. He was 5 for 8 from the field, 2 for 5 from 3, and 3 for 4 from the free throw line in just the second quarter. So that was awesome. It's good to see. On the subject of offensive rebounds, I should have mentioned this before I talked about Kuzma. The Suns turned 12 offensive rebounds into 27 second chance points. That's an insane amount of efficiency. You're talking about them scoring almost every single time they got an offensive rebound.
Yeah.
And the product of that is like I said, you get the tap outs. So you have 5 guys standing within, say, 10, 12 feet of the basket. One guy taps it out. It gets tapped out to one of those 2 guys, like I said, that's retreating. You say Devin Booker and Grayson Allen standing at half court while 3 of the Suns are trying to get tap outs. One guy taps it out. It goes to Grayson Allen. One guy goes to try to contest him. He makes one extra pass, and Devin Booker's wide open.
Yep.
That's what I'm saying where the overall needs to be. That's where the rotations have to be better. That's the kind of stuff that needs to change. Also, 23 points off of 17 turnovers. You're talking about 23 points off turnovers and 27 second chance points. That's 50 points out of 105 that the Suns scored. That's half their points. Just came off of extra opportunities that you gave them. And I'm not saying that the Bucks should have held the Suns to 55 points, because obviously that's not where I'm going with this. But I've said it over the course of this season. I believe the Bucks have the pieces to be a defensive first team and win games that way. Like they've held good teams under 110 points, and their record when they've done that is pretty decent. I do think, like I said, the opportunities that the Suns got, the second chances, the no chances for the Bucks, and we're talking about turnovers, I do think the Bucks actually played pretty decent defense. Like I said, they're capable of being a defensive first, but they have to figure out the little things. Taking care of the ball and securing rebounds. I do think also AJ Green played good defense when it comes to switching from guard to guard above the break. I think that was something that he did well. Pete Nance blocked a dunk attempt. That was great. So the Bucks, I mean, there's opportunity for things to be better defensively without having to change 2/3 of the roster. So I do think the Bucks are closer to getting back into contender status than it might seem on the surface. I do think pretty much everybody that played in this game did a good job getting to the rim, finishing at the rim. He brought up Ryan Rollins. I think he got off to kind of a bad start in the first 20 minutes or so, but he got himself closer to the basket, got some easy shots, got him to go in, started hitting threes, made some really clutch shots, missed some really clutch free throws.
You did.
But, I mean, 3 for 6 from the free throw line from a guard is a little yikes. But, I mean, that's experience, if anything.
He missed his last 3, actually, because he missed that one on the end one as well.
Yeah. So that was a little yikes. But when it comes to turnovers, they had 7 in the first quarter, and I do think there was too much dribbling in that quarter also. They had 7 turnovers and 3 assists in the first quarter, but the rest of the game, 8 turnovers, 17 assists is much better. That's a little over 2-1. Didn't have any turnovers in the second quarter, so that was good. And then you brought up a little bit of the defensive stuff, which is great. Versus Devin Booker, there were 3 guys that really had the main assignments on them. One being Miles Turner, who was contesting him when he got close to the rim. Booker was 1 for 4 from the field against Miles Turner. He was 0 for 4 from the field against Kyle Kuzma, and he was 0 for 6 from the field when guarded by Ousmane Dieng. So those 3 did a really fantastic job defending Devin Booker. So I wanted to give them their credit and end on that.
And I like Kuzma, but the role they have him playing is just not the role that he needs to be in. So I understand that he could score, but every once in a while they need to call more plays, get him going to the rim, is what I'm going to say. They don't call enough of those plays, in my opinion, for him to be as efficient as he should be. Let him make the decision if he wants to shoot a jump shot. If he wants to shoot a jump shot and the play's called for him, that's fine. That's his call. At that point, then people can give him the criticism that he deserves. But when you're not calling plays, getting him going to the rim for he can use his size and athleticism, it doesn't make any sense.
Well,
he is a good defender and willing, so
it's basically treating him like Washington Wizards Kyle Kuzma, where it's like, here's the ball, see if you can score.
Yeah, and you talk about the defense. I said that last week. You say that this week. I feel like they just need an entire new coaching staff. Every just get rid of them all. We need a new clean board.
I'm not opposed to that. I don't think they have to do that, but I'm not opposed to it.
I don't know. Yeah, I guess there's a couple of people I might keep, but I just feel like if you're going to go through a period like this, you got to almost do that.
Right. So Bucks and Clippers, this one is where I just didn't really have much to say at all. I mean, the Bucks have now lost 10 games by 25 or more points. That's the most in franchise history. They've guaranteed a losing season for the first time since 2015, 2016 when they changed to green, cream, and blue.
Yep.
The balanced scoring, in my opinion, did not show until the fourth quarter when Gary, AJ Green, and Pete Nance got into double figures. If you look at the team, Gary Trent Jr. was 6 of 10 from 3, and AJ Green was 4 of 5. Everybody else from the field is 6 of 26 from the 3-point line. That's 23.1%. So it's great that AJ Green and Gary Trent Jr. shot well from 3, but literally nobody else did.
Yeah.
And I went and looked at Gary Trent Jr. and AJ Green's rest of the month of March because this is context that's going to come up in a second when we talk about Cam Thomas. Gary Trent Jr. hasn't shot 60% in a game since February 4th from the 3-point line when he was 3 for 5. And his last 2 games, he's been 9 of 16, which is great. The previous rest of March, 5 for 27 from the 3-point line. That's 18.5% over 9 games.
Damn.
That's rough. And then you look at AJ Green, his last 2 games, he's 6 of 10 from the 3-point line, which is great. The rest of March, he's shooting 24 for 73, which is 32.9% over 13 games, which is not good, but it's not, it's still 14% higher than Gary Trent Jr. has been in the month of March. So that's really all I had to say. The Bucks playing without Giannis, playing without Kuzma, playing without Kevin Porter Jr., not that he's a huge needle mover, but he does move the needle a couple percent, but without Gary Harris as well. Just one of those games where you just turn it on when it starts and turn it off when it ends.
Pretty much. Well, to me, the Bucks turned their brains off in the second and third quarter. They got outscored in the second quarter 43-23, so minus 20. They got outscored in the third quarter 37-20, so that's 17. So you can add that together, 37 points. You're losing the middle of the game that's how you lose by 25 plus points, right? Now they did win the fourth quarter 29-21, but again, you can like you said about the Jazz game where the fast break points where they were kind of coasting. The Clippers were probably coasting at that point. I mean, I know they were because Kawhi only played 25 minutes and he scored 28 points. Shot 9 of 9 from the free throw line in those 25 minutes. He was super good, 8 of 18 from the field. Excuse me. Yeah, I was going to give credit to Gary Trent Jr. for finally having a good game for what feels like the first time since the playoffs last year, honestly. He's been pretty big letdown for me this year. Nice to see AJ Green striping some three-pointers, but Rollins – I know I talked so good about him last game, but 7 assists is still pretty good. But the 5 turnovers compared with it is just not good.
Yeah.
It's like you could say the same thing about Jang. Jang had 7 assists and 4 turnovers. So, I mean, those two guys are young.
The decision-making of young players has to be better. And you need somebody that can kind of get the best out of those guys.
Agreed. So, yeah, it's really not much to talk about with this game. The Bucks got their butts whooped. It is what it is.
Yeah. So let's talk about just the one transaction that the Bucks made, and it's the Bucks waiving Cam Thomas to convert Pete Nance to a standard contract. Now, I just want to talk because the 3 things that I saw were the Bucks waived Cam Thomas, but they kept Doc Rivers, or they kept Andre Jackson Jr., or they kept AJ Green. He's a fucking bum. Listen, if you don't know ball or how the NBA works, just say that.
Yeah.
Firstly, the Bucks aren't going to fire Doc Rivers. There's fucking 11 games left. He's going to finish the season. I don't give a shit if the Bucks go 0-11 over the next 11 games. He's still not getting fired before the season ends.
Yep.
Andre Jackson Jr. Now, you can look at it and say if you were building a roster that you would pick Cam Thomas before you picked Andre Jackson Jr. in a draft out of all the players in the NBA. You can say Cam Thomas would be a more useful player to you. That's totally fine. The thing that Cam Thomas doesn't have that Andre Jackson Jr. does is a club option for the contract for next season.
Well, he plays defense.
Well, I mean, there's that, but I mean, they're probably shooting the same percentage at the 3-point line if we're being
lately, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But the thing is that the Bucks can accept that club option, and then they have another $2.4 million in salary that they can add to a deal to make stuff work out money wise if they're going to be in a trade.
Yep.
And then AJ Green. Yeah, they kept AJ Green over Cam Thomas. He's a 40% three-point shooter, even though he shot 33% from the three-point line for the last 13 games. And AJ Green is also a competitor on defense. Cam Thomas is neither of those things.
And they just gave a contract to AJ Green last offseason.
Yeah. Also, this is probably more of a broad overseason thing, but we haven't talked enough about how AJ Green has gotten better playing off the dribble.
Very true.
He's gotten a lot better at that. I know it's something that people are kind of giving Duncan Robinson credit for getting better at, not just being a catch and shoot guy, but being able to catch and dribble and use his gravity to find teammates open and stuff like that. AJ Green is growing in that area.
That's fair.
We need to talk about that more going into next season.
That's fair.
But all those things considered, like, I said it, and I'm not here to pat myself on the back. I did not think Cam Thomas was a good fit for this team. And the main reasons were I just didn't think he was a defensive competitor. He's a volume scorer, not an efficiency scorer. He's a shot chucker at times, which when you're shooting hot, great, chuck. See if you can make the next one. By all means, there's a heat check. That's a real thing. But taking bad shots when you're shooting bad, it's not the move, especially on a team that you want to be good. And then just the inconsistency. It shows just in the 3 weeks that he spent with the Bucks. Like, yeah, it was awesome when he scored 34 against the Magic. He was hitting his heat checks. It was fun. It was like, oh, cool. Like, he might be able to adapt to playing on a good team, something he hasn't had in his career. Mm-hmm. And yes, I understand broad strokes, the Bucks are not a good team, but when they're playing with Giannis, they are. And just seeing if he can play along a player that caliber. And it's like, okay, it looks like it might work. And then he shoots like 18% for the next 9 games and is completely out of a rotation on a team that's going to be a losing season. Mm-hmm. It's all right there. Like I said, I'm not doing this to be I told you so, but I just didn't think it was a good fit to begin with. I was open to trying it, but I just think people that are super upset about it, you had to have kind of seen this as a possibility of it ending this way.
Yeah, I was on the opposite end where I was excited for it because I saw the lack of efficient scoring they were getting out of Gary Trent Jr. And I like the role that they had AJ Green in. AJ Green is just totally just a spacer on offense. He has gotten better as a passer. I agree with you. But I was like, okay, maybe a guy off the bench who can provide that scoring punch. I don't think the rotations were correct. I think he should have had Rollins on the bench with him, a guy who can handle the ball, maybe try to set him up. I mean, or Kevin Porter Jr. off the bench and you have Rollins be the starter. And Kevin Porter Jr. is a guy that he can score when asked to. He can create his own shot, but he also is good at setting people up and getting them open shots, where Cam Thomas was a guy that on Brooklyn, it was just like, okay, well, we're probably going to lose, but you're going to have the ball about 40% of the time. Just figure out a shot.
Yeah, get your own shot.
And that's not the kind of player that they needed because they had a guy like that. He's just 6'10", and his name is Bobby Portis. So now we had a big guy who likes to shoot a lot of shots and not compete on defense. Then we had a small guy that likes to shoot a lot of shots and not compete on defense. So that marriage didn't work out as well. I think in a different rotation, different way they're used. Maybe it works out. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe this is how it was always supposed to work. I mean, I was okay with the experiment. Just sucks that it ended the way that it did, honestly. And this season was lost anyways. So,
and when it comes down to it, it's the same reason I would have no interest in Michael Porter Jr.
Yeah, I mean, people being upset about it is just silly in my opinion.
Yeah, and like I said, especially for the people that they kept instead.
Yeah,
I could have seen waiving Gary Trent Jr. and giving him a shot at a change of scenery. That would have made sense to me also. Yep. But it just doesn't make sense to waive Andre Jackson Jr., a guy that the Bucks have team control of, or AJ Green, another guy who's under contract for several years and does good things for your team.
That's just people not understanding how to build an NBA roster. That's all it is.
All righty. So we'll have 4 games between now and next Wednesday. We'll have tonight at Portland. Saturday against the Spurs, Sunday against the Clippers again, and then Tuesday against the Mavericks. So we'll have 4 Bucks games between now and next Wednesday. Alrighty, so we're gonna switch to the Badgers. We're gonna bring Mike in, and we're gonna rip that Band-Aid off too. So, Mike, like I said this before, I'm like, man, I really wish we had something better to send you off with. But we also, I feel like, said it like 6 times throughout the season that this Badgers team could be a Final Four team, a national championship, or they could lose in the first round.
Yep.
And that's the reality of where they ended up, on the shorter end of the stick, which is not super fun. But, Mike, what did you take away from the Guards in the loss to High Point?
My first takeaway is I think we're cursed. I think we sacrificed getting to 2 Final Fours, did a deal with the devil or something like that. Kind of the same thing for football. We got Russell Wilson for a year, and now ever since then, it's just kind of, going down the tubes. But I'm crushed. I'm still very crushed. But as you said, Tyler, we knew the floor. We had an idea on the ceiling if it all clicked. But unfortunately, this is where we land. But Nick Boyd, his last game as a Badger, from a statistical standpoint, he went off on a decent note. Other than a few questionable takes and misses at the end of the game, he still played an overall decent game. 35 minutes, 27 points, 10 of 20 shooting, 6 of 6 from the free throw line, 1 of 2 from the three-point line, 5 rebounds, 6 assists, 1 turnover. Excellent job with taking care of the ball on that ratio. Overall with Nick Boyd, I mean, he set the tone to start this game, and he kept us in it at the end of the game. He scored the first 7 points to start us off, and then he also scored the last 10 of 12 for Wisconsin, too, to keep us right in that without, blowing it until the last minute there. But, I just want to give a shout-out to Nick Boyd and the seniors once again on this team. Nick Boyd was a huge reason why how we got to where we were, at least going into this game. We were firing on all cylinders for the most part, going back to the Big Ten tournament and even getting those, signature quality top 5, top 10 wins, top 15 this season too under Coach Guard. Nick Boyd, I want to say in a single scoring in Badgers history, he landed up at number 5, I think overall. Oh, it was 2. Okay, good. So he's going to be going down on the record books.
Frank, but
True Badger knowers will know how great of a player he was, even though it was just for a year. I loved having him on my team, not just from a statistical standpoint. I've talked about this on other shows too, just the way he shows his leadership. It's more outgoing than most of the other Badger players are on the team. And I do think in many moments this year, he brought out the best in some of the players because of showing that emotion and, showing that intensity. Like Nolan Winter shows it after a locker room, after a loss to Villanova, where he really got emotional. But Nick Boyd really showed it on the court, himself. So, I hope we can find somebody similar to that too, starting as soon as next season, because I do think it did, like I said, bring out the best in this team at times this year. Yeah. And it was a new dimension basically, because we Badger fans, we haven't been used to point guards like Nick Boyd getting so downhill, hitting clutch shots, obviously, and, being severely left-handed. But other teams couldn't stop him, no matter how they knew what he was going to do with his left hand, which was insane because, watching, starting from the beginning of the year, we saw that and we're like, oh, crap, how's he going to adapt to the Big Ten? How is he going to adapt to playing, good-ass teams? But obviously he ended up, as Tyler said, second in scoring all time as a Badger in 1 year. So he adjusted perfectly fine. But I'm going to miss him. I'm going to miss him going into next year. He's going to be a big role to fill, whether that's with one point guard we bring in or maybe multiple guys to fill that role. If Zach Kinzinger can make a jump, that's going to be part of it too. But hats off to Nick Boyd. We'll go from there. But I guess at the end of the day, what I think ultimately did cost us, this game, couple thoughts. High Point goes and hits 15 threes.
Yep.
3 and 4 of those were ultimately bullshit at the end. I want to credit to them. We knew what they were going to do that going into the game, but some of those were just really tough makes. And it was the first time the batters have lost this season scoring 80 or more points, which even makes it more of a insane that we lost this game. And I guess the biggest, stat line that, jumps out to me, you look at High Point's lineup, they were nowhere near as far as, height, size-wise, close to Wisconsin at all. Yet, High Point goes and gets 13 offensive rebounds to our 6. It leads to 9 more field goal attempts on High Point's end. I think that's kind of the story. I know it's not everything, but I think that's a big, big part as to why, High Point, did squeak this damn game out.
I think the perfect example of that is the fact that their volume is what won them the game at the 3-point line, because the Badgers actually shot a better percentage.
Yeah.
But High Point made 6 more total.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, we only took 23. I mean, I know it still like seems not egregious or anything, but it still seems like a significant amount. But we've seen multiple games this year where we've had no problem shooting over 43s in the game.
Yeah.
Straight up. But,
well,
I thought that was the biggest call out of this. Tough way to end this. I'll give more final thoughts after you guys talk about the game.
So I did pull it up. Boyd did finish second in Badgers history for a single season scoring, surpassing John Tonje by 2 points.
Wow.
It's still 6 points behind Frank Kaminsky's 2014-2015 season. One other note to make from that list is that John Blackwell is now 5th on that list with his season this year, outscoring Devin Harris from the 2003-2004 season. So even in games where John Blackwell wasn't always as aggressive as he should have been, he still finished with a top 5 single-season scoring season in Badgers history. The other thing I think was really cool was he was rebounding early. He was helping with rebounding. It was actually brought up in our back chat that we have that John Blackwell might be one of the best rebounding guards in the country. And I said he can be. He isn't always, but he can be. He had 5 points and 3 rebounds in the first 4.5 minutes of the game. He ended High Point 7-0 run with a layup, got himself an and one on the next possession. He had 20 out of the Badgers' 41 points at one point. Did miss the front end of a 1-and-1 that allowed High Point to tie the game in the first half. That was kind of a tough pill to swallow. I do think he was a little bit off to start in the second half. He did get a rebound. Stepped out of bounds, which I think was the right call. But the fact that a High Point dude can come and then grab the ball from him and tries to rip the ball away and tackle him and nothing happens is ridiculous.
It was that Johnston guy.
Uh-huh.
And nothing happens, and then High Point gets a 3 out of it. So it's like, okay, cool. The last minute of the game was tough to watch. And being in a situation where you want your guys to be aggressive, I don't think John Blackwell was aggressive enough in attacking the basketball. Having 2 loose balls go off your feet in the final minute of the game was tough. One of them being an offensive possession that turns into a turnover for Andrew Rohde, and one being a save that Nick Boyd tried to make after a good defensive possession, and the ball goes off his leg out of bounds. But only 2 points in the second half, finishing with 22 points, 10 rebounds, 2 assists, and then 5 out of Wisconsin's 9 turnovers went to John Blackwell. So that's one of those things that has actually correlated pretty strongly to the Badgers winning games, has been John Blackwell's turnover total. 5 out of 9 is a tough look. Yeah. Then you go to Andrew Rohde. He had 2 more turnovers. You look at Rohde and Blackwell, and they had 7 out of the 9 turnovers for the team. He hit his first 3, which was great. He finished with 6 points. He helped rebound. He had 3 rebounds. That's something I've kind of been looking for him to do more consistently all season. So it was good to see him do that. Had 5 assists, which is great. He hit a nice 3 in the second half when Wisconsin started 1 for 6 from the 3-point line. Had a block, and he had the 2 turnovers, like I mentioned. Braden Carrington, his first bucket was a tough layup. Unfortunately, he just had a really bad March, which sucks because he was really fun to watch when he got hot. He was super fun to watch. he only played 15 minutes, and he only took 3 3-pointers in the biggest 3-point matchup that the Badgers played the entire season, which is a little bit of a bummer, which if anything that you're going to point a good guard and be like, we need to fire a guard because he hasn't won us a tournament game in how long. The thing that I would actually point to is arguably your best 3-point shooter as far as getting hot and like shooting from anywhere, only taking 3 threes and playing 15 minutes in what would be the biggest game of your season, because if you lose, you're done. Especially against a team that wants to shoot a shit ton of threes. Like, you need to put your 3-point shooters in the game and let them play.
And the way that High Point was playing, I feel like Carrington's athleticism could have been useful in this game. He's a good rebounder. He can get up the floor and he can fire a 3-pointer and answer back threes that they make. So, I mean, I just feel like Carrington could have been used a lot more. I have opinions on somebody else off the bench, but
yeah, and to that point, like Mike brought up, that the Badgers on paper, their size is much bigger, and that's because High Point plays so much on the perimeter. And if there's a game where you're going to try to play Braden Carrington as a stretch 4, this is that kind of game. So there was also High Point turning up the defensive intensity and Wisconsin struggling with it. That's kind of been something that we've seen throughout the year. And I'm sure Mike is going to talk on that a little bit. But losing to a team who got a 2-point shot late in the game to a guy who hadn't made a 2-point shot the entire season is just another one of those things where, like Mike said, it feels like we're cursed. It's tough.
It's that stupid March Madness storybook ending for a team, and unfortunately, we got caught right in it.
Right, and the other point of that is that High Point won the fast break points 16-5.
Yeah.
So I don't think Nick Boyd is like, I need to point to Nick Boyd and be like, we lost because of him. But I think I wasn't super thrilled with the way that Nick Boyd played, to be honest with you. The last couple shots that he took, I don't think were great shots. I think the Badgers could have gotten better shots. It seemed a little hero ballish to me, which again, he's your aggressive guy. So your aggressive guy is being aggressive. That's not outside of character for him. But I do think that's one of those things where if you can rise above that and be like, all right, let's pass up an aggressive shot for a great shot, that was an opportunity they had late in the game. With that, like I said, fast break points being 16-5. I mean, that was the most fun thing about watching Nick Boyd, is he can go 1-on-3 late in the game and be the one that comes out and scores. And we just didn't have any of that this game either. I'll say a little bit more when we come to some of the thoughts as a whole, just because I want to bring up the past a little bit. But Jake, what did you take away from the Bigs?
Yeah, we got we got whooped on the boards, and it was tough to watch. And the one thing that I come away with when I watch this game, and I mentioned it to you guys that like during and after the game, is like, why are we babying Nolan Winter? You come into this game, they say there's no limit, like minutes restriction on him. I'm like, dude, he had 4 rebounds in 12 less minutes compared to Austin Rapp. Austin Rapp did not have the rebound gene going on that day. 12 points, 4 rebounds. He shot 4 of 9 overall, 2 of 6 from 3. But he was getting beat up physicality wise, honestly. Bieliauskas, he had 7 rebounds. He transformed himself into a nice physical player, good rebounder. Excited to see what they add to his game going into next year, because we've seen, a bunch of guys on Badgers basketball especially that take big leaps, from freshman to sophomore year, sophomore to junior year.
Steamsma and Krabenhoft being in that room excites me about those guys.
Yeah, but Winter is your best rebounder. So why wouldn't you put him in the game where you're getting absolutely whooped? He also is a prototypical stretch big. He can grab the rebound. He can be your trail guy. He can hit threes from the top of the key. He can go down low. He could have used his size and scored a little bit more down low, I think. I think Nolan Winter and Braden Carrington should have played a lot more minutes in this game.
And to the point of fast break points also, we talked about Nolan Winter being smart in transition, catching a guard on his hip and dragging him down to the paint with him, and then boom, mismatch, layup.
I mean, there's a few things that can happen with that. Like you said, you can get a layup. You could force a foul and get some free throws. Slow the game down a little bit. Give yourself a breather. If he makes a couple free throws, when you go to the line, you can set your defense up, right? So there's a lot of positives that come out.
Double team and kick out, swing. Somebody's open for three.
I 100% had the same thought. I was like, dude, why did they not run the lineup with Winter at the 5 and Carrington at the 4 more, dude? This was the game for that. But, you can't say coulda, shoulda, woulda, because it is what it is. That's the best part about sports is there's a winner and there's a loser, and you try to find things that you did wrong that you could fix. And I thought rebounding was the biggest reason the Badgers lost in this one, honestly.
Yeah. Mike, I'll give you a chance to give some game thoughts before I rattle off some stuff that I think on the tournament as far as the Badgers are concerned.
Yeah, I guess like in terms of like final thought, this is kind of like as a whole and even going forward, like there was a couple times this year and even last game where we're in these final moments in these game situations where it's like, what the hell are we doing? One example, this year in the Big Ten tournament, John Blackwell, when the game's tied, he pulls up from beyond NBA range for a 3, right? This last game,
double bonus,
really, in my view, a very perfect example of this with what is going on when a timeout is called to at the same time, because we got Nick Boyd coming downhill again, taking the final shot. No, that's fine. But if you watch that last possession on offense, you see both Nolan Winter and John Blackwell drag their guys into the lane, and he gets literally triple stuffed when he puts the ball up. Now, we need to be better in those kinds of situations, because we've been a team all year where if we space the other team out, we have legit multiple options how we can score. It doesn't just need to be Nick Boyd. Granted, I do think he would take that shot anyway, regardless. But, and this is just an example, like even when John Blackwell and Nolan brought their guys into the lane, we saw someone like Andrew Rohde, who was literally open, standing alone at the top of the key in that possession. Again, I still think Nick Boyd would have taken that shot regardless. But my point being, this has costed us, and those aren't the only 2 examples. But I do think going forward as a staff, they need to put more like emphasis on, okay, you got in these end of game situations where guys are supposed to be lined up in certain situations. I'm all for guys crashing when a shot goes up.
Yeah.
But I think that play was literally doomed almost from the start, because again, we got 2 guys dragging in their defenders, and I believe it was Nolan Winter's defender that ended up blocking the damn shot, right? So I just question, before you're going into that last possession, what's Coach Gard telling these guys where you need to be from a spot perspective? And even when he doesn't call timeout, when the game plays on, I don't want to be taking 30, 40-foot three-pointers when we can easily go downhill, get a potential to, or worst case scenario, kick out and get a good 3-point shot.
Or get to the free throw line.
Yeah. Stuff along those lines. I mean, those are just 2 points that I wanted to call out before, going into next season. But I know if you're going to critique, this team, it has been some of those late game situations and getting, trading good shots for great shots. Or in this case, it wasn't good shots at all. But, running a legit offense to get somebody open, to get at least a quality look, and say you did literally anything possible, go out and try and tie or go and try and win this game. I think that's kind of a big, sore thumb in this staff too. If I'm gonna critique, obviously you guys know I'm a great guard lover. You know my stance about him going forward already. But I think if there's one thing to look back on, even in the last couple seasons, I do think there's got to be a better way for us to cash in on the late game shot clock situations or late game scenarios, just to trade those good shots for great shots.
I mean, all you'll have to do is cut up clips of games that they've played over the last couple of years and show it as tape in the meeting rooms next year.
Okay, what did I talk about last year at the end of the year after they lost to Penn State? I said, you know what this team lacks is a fucking lob threat, dude. Late game situation lob threat is massive, bro. Think how the Bucks use Giannis over the last 10 years. His gravity that he has going to the lane. You think if that guy was the guy that blocked Nick Boyd's shot, if he was scared about getting dunked on behind him, you think he's helping that much? No, he's not. He has to protect the rim at that point from his guy. They need a goddamn lob threat, dude. I'm sick and tired of these I love that we have guys that shoot threes. They need a guy that can just absolutely abuse the rim.
I'm not going to lie. I'm excited for you too, Will Garlock.
They need a guy that just wrecks basketball rims, dude. And wouldn't it be nice to have a wing that can drive to the rim and freaking finish a goddamn layup, dude?
Yeah.
My goodness, dude.
I said it at multiple points that Carrington and Rhodey could get to the rim, but they couldn't finish. Carrington did his first basket in the game was a tough contested layup, but again, we're talking minority of his shots being at the rim.
That's fine. I love that they can shoot. I love that we've redone this offense and we kind of have a new system out there. That's great. Keep giving me shooters. You're adapting to the new NBA style of basketball in this NIL era. Perfectly fine.
Yep.
I need a wing that is 3 and can get to the rim and finish. And I need a big guy that just assaults basketball rims. Honestly, give me those two things.
Yeah. The thing that I'm a little tired of, and Mike brought up it being a curse, I think it's the committee being dicks a little bit too. The fact that Badgers keep getting sent out west when teams from Wisconsin do not travel west well. I mean, Jake and I just talked about a West Coast road trip the Bucks lost 2 out of 3 games of. We had the Badgers losing to Oregon, just getting absolutely murdered by Oregon, not a good basketball team. The guys just don't go west well. Brandon said not big guys standing around, which, yeah, I mean, it'd be nice to have a stretch 4 on the floor while still having a center that can do big man things.
Dude, a Jericho Sims type would be absolutely perfect.
And I think Will Garlock can be a player like that. He's not a shooter at all.
No.
So he's going to be a restricted circle to restricted circle player.
Perfectly fine with me.
Yeah. So that I think is an opportunity to be different. But I literally wrote in my notes, it's a little profane, but I wrote in my notes, I'm also tired of getting fuck-ass 5-12 matchups that set Wisconsin up for upsets. Even last season, the Badgers get a 3-6 that was BYU, horrible matchup. 2024, their 5-12 matchup, James Madison. That was a terrible matchup for Wisconsin. 2023, they didn't make the tournament. You go back to 2019, they get a 5-12 matchup against Oregon, who had Peyton Pritchard and Bull on their team.
Hey,
that's a fuck-ass matchup. That's some bullshit. That's the 5-12 that the Badgers get, and then they get High Point, a team who averages 90 points a game. And again, it's a level below, and the High Point coach gets to talk his shit after and be like, yeah, now we played somebody. Their play style translates to a team that can upset a Power 4 school. Not to mention that they came into March Madness on a 14-game winning streak. Cool. Here you go, Wisconsin. Go play out west where you don't play well against a team on a 14-game winning streak that averages 90 points a game.
Dude, seriously, put us in the goddamn South region. Next year, if we get put in the West region, dude, I'm gonna have some terrible PTSD.
If we get put in the West and we get an 8-9 matchup and it's against fucking Cal Berkeley or something like that, and they're averaging 90 points a game and they have 6 guys that shoot 8 threes a game. I mean, even or we're going to get a Siena or, just a random team like that plays a level below and they're coming in super hot and they have a bunch of guys that are playing with confidence that a guy that'll shoot a 68-foot 3-point shot and it just goes straight in with 26 seconds on the shot clock. Cool.
I mean, dude, look at High Point against Arkansas. They didn't even get crushed versus Arkansas. And Arkansas's good, dude, and they're long.
They have a top 10 pick on their team.
Yeah,
probably a top
long,
5
athletic.
High Point had that game. That last minute, they had it. I mean,
they did.
They were right in it.
Yeah,
High Point's not
94.
They're not your average 12 seed, bro. So they literally set the Badgers up for failure. I really feel like.
Yeah. So the committee can suck it, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, like I said, 2019, you get Peyton Pritchard and Bull. That's who you get to go against.
Yeah.
Fun.
Ridiculous. So it is what it is. The thing that we're going to do here before we go is we're going to say thank you to Mike. So this is Mike's last show with us as our Badger guy. We wish we could have sent Mike off some better seasons, but we appreciate you joining us and investing your time to talk about Badgers basketball and Badgers football. over the last couple of years. Like I said, I wish we had some better send-offs for you, but we wanted to say thank you for taking the time to join us on Wednesdays.
No problem. You guys already know. Anytime you want to talk, we're going to have our Badgers chat on the side at full capacity at all times. And
Yep.
going into next fall, there's obviously going to be plenty of things we can talk about. Britt, feel free to bring me back on at any time. Football, basketball, or if you just want a random laugh, I'm good for that too. But no, thanks for having me on. I think when we first started, Jake was the one who approached me and just like, dude, Mike, you're good at talking your Badger stuff, man. Do you just want to join us like a couple times here and there? I'm like, yeah. I mean, sure. I can't talk. I talked to Jake about Badger stuff as close as anybody else, so I think this would be perfect. Why not? Yeah. And sure, shit. How many years did we go? Was it like 3 or 4?
I think we had 3 years. I want to say.
Man, time flies by. Or is it 4? I don't know.
I think it's 3. I think the first year was kind of sporadic, where we just had one as like a special appearance. But I think it's 3 full years that you were with us,
which is crazy because we've only been doing the show for 5.
Yeah, and so doing the primer at Isaac's like that one year. How much fun was it? That was a lot of fun. And then obviously bringing me on, getting Scary Alvarez involved, and a couple other folks too. Getting Badger players.
I was gonna say, I mean, me and you, we interviewed CJ Getz and we had Ricardo Hallman. I mean,
that was one of our first shows, I think, together. Kind of. I think
that was the first season that we had you on.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sure. Rico Hallman comes on, but no, just reflecting and looking back into that. Yeah, CJ Getz another one too.
We had Amari Snowden and Cole LaCruz, so we had some recruits on.
Yep.
Been a fun ride, but I know you've been watching the spring practices, my boy.
Oh, I have been.
Dude, I was telling Tyler, I was like, Tyler, dude, they're posting a lot of shit. The Badgers football team's posting a lot of shit the last couple of days, dude. It's getting me real jacked up.
Dude, it's not even summer. I love that I nailed Colton Joseph because I feel like he's going to be a monster.
Yeah, Colton Joseph, he threw one to, was it Jacob Harris? I don't remember if it was Jacob Harris.
Yeah, Jacob Harris was one.
Yeah, that was
Henry had a good day. I mean, I obviously got to see more, but I guess, just sending it off into next year. I mean, talk about the football team. They got a much doable schedule. Yeah. I am at the same time going to hold Luke Fickell into the fire this year. I think this is obviously a big year for him. Yep. There's no more excuses about not spending money. The Badgers spent a shit ton of money. I have that on pretty good authority. It's put up or shut up time this year. I mean, I think you guys already know I wanted Fickell gone last season. I know that's bad to say. We're a positive show. I just thought, there's enough situations where I felt like, he should be let go, but I am more than I want to be wrong this year. Yeah. I want the Badgers to succeed. Like you guys know, as always, I want to be proven wrong with Coach Fickell this year, but I don't think it's an unrealistic expectation to expect at bare minimum 7 wins going into next year. I think that's bottom. I think that's bottom line.
Yes.
You got to get 7 wins.
Yeah.
If Fickell wants to have a job.
Yeah. Okay. And I was kind of okay with it either way, but we'll see how spring looks and we'll talk next fall. And the thing with it is like Mike said, we're going to keep our chat going. So if it ends up being, that Mike wants to get some thoughts out there, he's got free reign to post on our socials and stuff like that to put thoughts out there and put his name on it. He's still very, very, very welcome to do that. So, Mike, thanks again, and we'll definitely be talking.
Sounds good, fellas. Thanks
again.
Give
me one more, Mike. Give me one more.
I'm Wisconsin always, baby.
Let's go, baby.
All right. Thanks again,
Later,
Mike.
Fellas.
Peace out, man.
All righty. So we have one more transition to hit and one more thing to talk about real quick. So this is officially our last Wednesday without baseball recaps.
Yes, sir.
Next Wednesday, we're going to have 6 baseball games to talk about.
Yes.
So while it's a bummer that the basketball teams are not doing great, we get baseball next week, my guy.
We get baseball tomorrow, man. I'm so excited. Today, after about 1 o'clock, it started to feel like baseball season, like early baseball season. Baseball means warmer weather. means vacations in the summer, means more time with the kids. It's just you get a real nice fuzzy feeling inside you when baseball season comes around the corner. You're like, finally, dude, we don't have to be freezing in our basement and wear socks and a blanket to talk on a computer, dude.
Heated blanket.
Brother, I have these brand new mocks on, dude, and they're keeping the toes nice and toasty. But it'll be real nice in a couple months when I don't have to wear these. But I'm so excited for this team. They're super underrated again. I'm gonna make a video tomorrow actually on the TikTok page about how ESPN was picking their division winners, and 27 out of 30 voted that the Cubs were going to win the division. So can't wait to get my thoughts out on that. Not shocked, honestly. So let's go Brewers, man. I'm excited.
Yeah, so we'll have 3 games versus the White Sox, 3 games versus the Rays.
Yes.
Jacob Mizorowski is starting opening day tomorrow. He is the 3rd youngest player to be starting on opening day for the Brewers. The youngest is Bill Parsons in 1972. He was 115 days younger than Jacob Mizorowski. And second was Ben Sheets in 2022, who was 99 days younger than Jacob Mizorowski. So there's that. And then the one other thing that I wanted to throw out there is the Brewers did trade Casey Hunt for Jake Woodford, who did make the roster. I think that's kind of just looking at seeing Rob Zastryzny and Craig Yoho on the injured list to start the season and being like, hey, we need one more guy in the bullpen. So they made that trade. And we did say it in our Brewers primer. If you didn't get a chance to listen to it, you still got 24 hours to do so. But we talked about one more move that could be coming. And one of the things that I said is I think it's going to be a AA or lower player. Casey Hunt was in AA. He was a previously undrafted guy, which Javik Blake, the media guy for the Biloxi Shuckers, brought up a great point. He said it's one hell of a player development job to make an undrafted free agent guy a trade piece for a 40-man roster guy after 3 years.
Seriously.
So that's a great point by Javik to make as far as the Brewers are concerned with trading KC Hunt. And that's their one more move that was still coming, and it came 2 days before opening day. And now there's another guy on the roster in the bullpen. So next week, 4 basketball games, 6 baseball games. We'll see you guys then. And then also tune in on Tuesday nights at 8 o'clock for the next parts of our draft series. Last night was quarterbacks and running backs. Next week is wide receivers and tight ends. That one's going to be super fun. So tune in on Tuesday night, and we'll see you guys then.
Next week's